That's disappointing me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Common Censored Live. Thanks for being here. We're live on youtube.com/moment of clarity and rockfin.com/Lee Camp.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right. Too many volumes going. Thanks for being here. This is gonna be okay. James apparently is bored. But this will be a 45-minute. This will be a 45-minute episode, so we will do that. Thanks for joining us. Please click the thumbs up. All the donations will go to people who are struggling. We'll get into more of the details of that. But I wanted to jump into a topic right up top. Oh yeah, and I'm with the always amazing Eleanor Goldfield, who's very talkative today.
Took a vow of silence.
So some of you may have seen about the summer terming at Occupy Congress. I don't think that's the best term because this is different than Occupy. But
they're also not in Congress.
You mean inside?
Yeah.
Okay. So what has happened is Cori Bush led this charge to renew the eviction moratorium. There was an eviction moratorium that began at the beginning of the pandemic. It's gone until basically yesterday or 2 days ago and at midnight. And she, who is a congresswoman, said, fuck this and not so many words, and said she was going to stay on the steps of Congress, demanding they come back into session. They've gone on vacation because that's what you do when you are getting ready to knock over 6 million people out on the streets. So they've gone on vacation for like a month and a half or something. And she has led the charge to basically, we're going to sit on the steps of Congress and demand they come back, demand her colleagues come back and renew the moratorium. Also showing up has been AOC, Jamal Bowman, Ayanna Pressley, and maybe and Ilhan Omar, I think, was there as well. In a minute, I'm going to get into why this is. I don't want to just shit on it as like, hey, fuck that, man. You guys should have done something before, because I want to look at the action, not the people necessarily, and say, is this action something to support? And I want to discuss that. But before we even get into that, I have a specialist here that has decided to join the show on how the eviction moratorium is not really an eviction moratorium. A special guest I brought in. I don't know how I was able to book you, but I did it.
So really, I wrote an article about this. If you'd like to check it out, it's up on Mint Press News from a couple of months ago. And basically, it talks about how a moratorium is really not the right word for the eviction moratorium, because a moratorium suggests that that you shall not pass, right? Like there are no evictions that will happen during the eviction moratorium, but that's not accurate. There have been thousands of evictions, and I believe it's called the Eviction Lab. I'm just going to look that up real quick while I'm talking. But
you looked up Erection Lab. That's different.
I think it just automatically
definitely different.
it auto corrected to that. It's your computer, so don't look at me.
Hey.
So basically, the Eviction Lab has shown. What happened during the eviction moratorium. I think that's what it's called. But you can look at my article for more information on specific numbers. Granted, they'll be a few months old, but the point is that there are plenty of loopholes for landlords to get through in terms of evicting people during the moratorium. Now, I'm not saying that it did nothing.
Thanks, Ecuador.
It did keep people in their homes to a certain extent, but there's also a huge information gap. So, for instance, if you didn't...
Thanks, San Diego Pete.
If you didn't know, like, the stages of eviction, there are several stages. It's not like the cops just show up and you're out. There's a notice, then there's a hearing. So there's all of these steps, but a lot of people think that as soon as they see that notice slapped on their door, they're gone. But that's not the case. That is simply a notice of the intent to evict, that the landlord wants to evict you. But you still have tenants' rights. And because of the information gap, There have been a lot of people who have done what's called self-eviction, but I think that's a stupid fucking name for it because nobody's self-evicting. It's they're being evicted, and they don't realize that they have rights because there's a huge information gap, particularly for people who have who don't have immigration status, or for people who have English as a second language. So this has caused thousands of people to be evicted during the so-called moratorium. So I think it's really important. It's kind of like DACA, right? When we talk about reinstating the moratorium, it's like protecting DACA. It's like, yes, it does some shit, but people are still being evicted. People are still being deported under DACA. It's deferred action, right? That's what it stands for. It's not like, hey, you're welcome to stay here, particularly because we fucked up your countries. We're so sorry.
DACA is like the Dreamers, not Dachau, which is different.
Yeah, that's totally different. I don't recommend. Although I think it's okay, but yeah. So I think it's that's sort of like parallel, right? The moratorium was never a fucking catch-all or a cure-all. So really, the demands shouldn't be let's reinstate the moratorium. Let's have, I don't know, for the first time, an actual fucking moratorium on evictions. Right. Let's demand that housing be considered a human right so that people are never in this situation. Because regardless of whether it was COVID or not, I mean, before COVID, people were getting evicted at an alarming rate anyway. So this is something that really needs to be addressed anyway.
So, yes. Very important. And here's why I've retweeted several of the things from Cori Bush and maybe a few others saying that people should be part of this occupation of the outside of Congress, the steps of Congress, because the way I see it, this is an important topic. Millions of people are impacted by this. Cori Bush herself apparently used to be homeless. And you know, obviously before she got into Congress, and so I think there is a promise, there is a potential here for this to grow to become something larger than they can control, and then once that's happened, let's say you have 2 or 10,000 people outside of Congress saying, fuck you assholes, you can't just throw us out on the street. And in fact, there's 17 million empty living spaces in the United States, meaning either apartments or homes. 17 million empty ones sitting around the country while people are thrown out on the street. It's fucking insane. And that should be the discussion once this has grown and become a powerful movement that is in Congress's face, that is at their steps, that won't let them in the building without going by them or having a police escort or some shit. And so, in my view, this could become powerful. Then you increase the demands. The demands should not just be renew the moratorium. It should be much larger than that, as you just said. So that is why I showed some support for this.
I'm sorry. No, my ears just itched at the same time. That had nothing to do with you. I got like some hair stuck in there. Can I jump in real quick?
Sure. Let me just say real quick that all the donations go to people who are struggling, people who need a little help right now. So all of that goes to help people. So thank you guys.
So I want to address one of the comments here said, do you really have trust in the Democrats? No, this is not about that.
None. Zero.
I have negative. Can I have negative trust? I have negative trust. This isn't about that. If you look historically, the only way that any sort of positive legislation has been pushed through is literally because it's been pushed through, whether that be extreme strikes, whether that be, sit-ins and die-ins and things like that. It's because people have pushed it. And so I think what we're talking about, this offers an opportunity for people to take something that a member of Congress started and actually make it something worthwhile. Kind of the opposite of what the Democrats do, right? The Democrats usually take our movements and shit on them and turn them into lifeless, hulls of what they used to be. We're suggesting it'd be the opposite. Why don't we take something that Cori Bush started and actually turn it into something that would potentially push people to create some real change. So that's the concept. It has nothing to do with whether we trust the Democrats or not, because we really don't, and neither should you. But it's the idea of recognizing potential in spaces and times.
So I was down there today. Here are some quick photos. This is Cori Bush speaking. That's more of Cori Bush, and then this is Jamal Bowman, and then AOC spoke after that. Now, here are what I see as the problems so far. One is that these squad members who are there have seemed really eager to not talk about anything except this very specific, tiny issue of the moratorium. They won't enlarge that to other issues. They won't. Max Blumenthal got a video of trying to ask Cori Bush about healthcare, Medicare for all, and she gave some mushy mouth response, and then her, I don't know, advisor, whatever he is, her person, secretary, whatever he is, jumped in front of Max and then kind of pushed him back and stopped him from asking more questions.
Frank.
And so so part of the problem is these people do not actually want to engage with the public outside of this one single issue, which I think is, that's not really how it works when you're a politician. You can't be like, I'm going to answer to this and nothing but this. So that's a problem. And by the way, AOC's speech, a large portion of it had to do with confrontation. We have to confront these people.
So
we have to be in their faces. And of course,
confront everyone else.
If people go up in her face and ask her questions like, why did you vote for Nancy Pelosi or whatever, she, goes behind a closed door, has someone get in her way or whatever. So I think that's a problem. But more important than that, talking about this specific action, is that they have not seemed, in fact, I think Cori Bush is the only one who's been really genuine with this. I think the others glommed on because they realized it would look bad if they didn't go there and give speeches. But it seems to be mainly Cori Bush's push. And even she has not coordinated with the organizations that know grassroots DC, know how to get a lot of people who are about to be evicted to show up and be a part of this. I knew someone there who went to Cori, was talking with Cori Bush and saying, look, I have a lot of connections with these grassroots organizations. And she said, okay, well, just give the number to my advisor here or whatever. And I'm not saying she, said, go fuck yourself, but it didn't seem like she was really entertaining the true work that needs to be done to create something like this. And it's been going for 3 days and it really hasn't grown much. I mean, AOC's been on the news a lot, but talking about other things. I don't think she's mentioned it on the news. Cori Bush has been on CNN and has talked about this issue. But that seems to be the extent of it. And I think that it's not looking like they're actually giving the effort that is needed for something like this. Because I think that they, and especially those other than Cori Bush, keep in mind, AOC didn't even support Cori Bush in her last election, did not endorse her. So AOC there can be a rift in this squad, even the more left wing of the squad. And I think that Cori Bush started this thing. The others felt the need, like they had to show up, but no one's maybe devoted to it except Cori Bush, who used to be homeless. And anyway, it's just, I'm still, look, if it keeps blowing up, if it keeps getting bigger, Occupy Congress was trending on Twitter for a bit. So if it keeps getting bigger, then fuck yeah, let's do it. And we will increase the demand and make it something real. But I'm just voicing my concerns.
So I just want to again say what I feel like I already said, but apparently some folks in the chat aren't getting it. This has nothing to do with whether we like the Dems or not. We don't. And if you've ever watched any of our shit, you should already know that by now. So I'm kind of perplexed at some of the comments that are coming in. This is about, again, I'll say it again, this is about taking the opportunity to actually create something useful out of performative politics, which politics are performative. So performing.
Yeah, it's all a spectacle.
So it's about taking something, it's about taking the spectacle and actually turning it into something useful. I don't give a shit about AOC. I don't give a shit about Cori Bush.
Right. Do this. Occupy Cori Bush says Occupy Congress.
Exactly. So it's like, you like this knee-jerk reaction to shit on everything because it's not pure enough. Y'all are going to die like a lonely and horrible death because everything will be not pure enough for you. There have to be moments and there have to be places and people where you work and whom you work with that aren't, exactly pure according to your standards. And that's just life, okay? Like, not everyone's going to agree with you. The situations aren't going to be perfect. You're not going to wander into a perfect protest. I've been to probably thousands of protests in my life. None of them have been fucking perfect. Because what the fuck is perfect? It doesn't make any sense.
Every protest I've ever been to, there's usually there's usually someone else speaking on the list that I think something they've done or said is reprehensible at some point. Because if you have a purity test like that, you will never be at anything.
You'll never be at anything. You'll be alone. And this is why there are like a lot of people, you see them on Twitter, like the people that just use their energy to lash out at people for not having the right theory about this or not the right ideology about this. Fuck you, man. That's not helpful. I love sitting around and talk, like, yes, let's have a night where we just talk about Kropotkin. It's great. But that's not actually creating change. Change is created through action. And yes, your ideology fuels that. But the idea that you'd only work with people who think the same way about everything as you do, that's fucking bananas. And you will never, ever, ever make any progress towards justice or liberation with that kind of mindset. So
Bev has asked whether this is the CDC's decision or not. The CDC has said that eviction is a bad idea during the pandemic. But no, it's Congress that decides whether there's a moratorium on evictions. So
right. The actual power, it's the CDC is kind of like the UN. Like, it can't force government to do anything. It's basically about saying, hey, this is a bad idea. And actually the CDC has also said that doing homeless sweeps, what's called homeless sweeps, is really fucking bad too in the midst of a pandemic. And what have many cities done around the United States? They've done homeless sweeps during a pandemic, from coast to coast and back again. So the CDC makes these recommendations, but there's no obligation for anybody to actually follow them, whether that be federal or local level.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us, by the way. Take a minute to so there's about 300 or 400 of you watching, and there are 90 thumbs up. So some of you have not clicked thumbs up, which is, moderately offensive, a little offensive.
So also, I think this is a good moment to point out that quite serendipitously, Los Angeles made it illegal to be homeless this past week.
Oh yeah.
LA City Council voted on legislation that basically said that you can't, what happened to that screen, by the way? That was weird. Oh, excuse me, bubbles. You can't sit, sleep, or basically be around. You can't loiter, essentially, anywhere near. I can't remember the language, but it was basically I don't know, in other areas where people exist. So it's making it illegal to be homeless, but says nothing about what they would actually do with the homeless population, which has skyrocketed in Los Angeles since the advent of the pandemic, which even when I lived there back in, I moved in 2015, homelessness was, it was at crazy proportions even back then. And it's skyrocketed to even greater proportions now during the pandemic. So what are you going to do with these people? Fucking bus them to a different city? You're going to throw them off a bridge? What the fuck?
You're going to give them a ticket for being homeless.
Right, which then means they'll go to jail because they won't have the money to pay that. And we have a debtor's prison, even though we're technically not allowed to have that. And then private prison industrial complex gets a boost. So,
So there's a clip. I might be playing it on Moment of Clarity tomorrow. We'll see if I have time. But there's a clip of completely garbage Young Turks, completely garbage Ana Kasparian saying that these these progressives have allowed camping. And so, they've taken away these anti-camping laws, which means people are just wandering around and doing drugs and stuff. I mean, it's the most right-wing shit garbage you've ever seen coming from the Young Turks. So maybe I'll play that clip tomorrow. We'll see.
I also think it's so, like, calling it camping. No, camping is something you do with some friends.
Camping is a choice.
Right. With like a bottle of wine and some weed and a campfire. Camping is not what you do when you have nowhere else to go. Then that's just unhoused.
Calling homelessness camping is like calling rape like a sexual activity.
Yeah.
I mean, no, one is completely fucked up and forced upon you.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So please donate if you'd like to help out people who are struggling right now. By the way, so we're doing something. We've had a little extra money, not as many people asking for help as people who are donating, which is awesome. We don't know if that'll be true this coming week, but that was true this last week. So what we're doing is, if there is extra at the end of the week, we list someone who will be donated to. And this week it is the fight against Line 3. Line 3 is a pipeline that you've heard us talk about it plenty before. Completely fucked up, just like all oil pipelines are, going through indigenous territory and so many environments that it will kill or destroy or harm. And the people that are fighting against it are doing an amazing thing out there. And so if there's money left over, that's where that will go. However, there might not be money left over. There also might not be enough money for everybody who emails to say they need help. If you are someone who is struggling and could use, it's kind of a solidarity fund we're doing with you. And if you could use $80 or $100 to get you through this weekend or the week or something, you're really struggling, really having a tough time, then email commentcensored@protonmail.com. Oh, and the Venmo, if you want to donate, is @LeeCamp.
Yes, indeedy.
So let's see. We're about halfway through. You have a video you want to show us.
I do, because you know what? We talk about so much shitty stuff. And excuse me, I'm drinking sparkling water and it's making me a little burpy.
That's what they all say.
What else? What would I be hiding? So we talk about a lot of shitty things, and for obvious reasons.
Thank you, Arcola.
And I thank you, Arcola.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Daniel Hale. Unfortunately, not a happy birthday, but yes, there's you can, if you follow Team Daniel Hale on Instagram, you can find out how to write to him while he's in prison. He is the whistleblower who released the information about drone warfare. For instance, that 90% of drones kill innocent civilians.
Drone bombings kill 90% of innocent civilians.
Yeah. So thank you, Bob.
It's really over 90%. It's more like 98 or something.
Yeah, at least 90. So Daniel is in jail, and Obama's having a big birthday bash in the Hamptons or something, last I saw. Or Martha's Vineyard. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
I know.
That's good to hear. Lovely.
So, so anyway, we talk about a lot of shitty things, and I just wanted to share something absolutely fucking awesome with you. And can we do a share screen?
Doing it. We're working on it.
Oh, I don't think there is.
There's
audio.
no audio.
I don't think so. Okay.
I'm just going to see how it looks.
So.
Do you want to do full screen, or you like it like this?
I'm fine with full?
Full? You're fine with full?
Okay.
Full.
So, workers in Bloomberg, Germany, destroyed 30 new apartments after the businessmen refused to pay their wages. Now, this is awesome, just this little note here, but then there's this.
This is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did I? Oh my God. Did I? I didn't.
You're not going to pay us? Oh. Okay.
Oh, did I hear you're not going to pay our way? You know what? This is my first time.
That looks expensive.
This is. This is my first time in this machine. I didn't. Oh God. Oh, there goes another. Oh, no. Is that guy on the toilet? Okay. You know what?
Wait, you know
I am
what?
just gonna back off because
wait.
this is. I did not mean
Actually,
to cause this damage.
Hold on.
I'm gonna back off. I'm just gonna go over here, and it'll be nice and clear, and I won't do any more. Oh God. Oh, that's. Oops. Oh man, that a balcony? Oh God, that was a grand piano there. That's definitely a grand piano. Amazing.
Yes. Does that make anyone else just
How many people jizz their pants just now?
Seriously? Oh, that is just mwah, chef's kiss. So, I'm just saying, that's an option, everyone. That's something you can do.
If the guy refuses to pay you for your work, your labor, your time, which is really your life. So really you're giving away some of your life for those wages. So yeah.
Because the boss man doesn't know how to drive that machinery. So you have the power in more ways than one. So there you go. Just a little inspiration for you. Just a little I'm just wanted to share that with you all. I hope it brought you as much joy as it brought me.
It's one of the, some people watch a kitten snuggling video when they're down. I feel like all of you could watch that when you're feeling down.
Oh yeah, no, I've added that to my rainy day list for sure. Mm-hmm.
So let's see. We got only 15 minutes left. I would love for some of you to donate to help out people who are struggling, people who need a little help, and you can do that on Rockfin in the tip feature. You can do that on YouTube with the super chat. You click the $ next to the comment box if you're signed in, and you can do it on Venmo at Lee Camp. Even if you're not watching this live, you can do it on Venmo. And all of those donations go to people who are struggling, people who need some help. And if that is you, you can email commoncensored@protonmail.com. Thank you, Basil. And if you want, so the only way to help to support our work is liberapay.com/Lee Camp. But really what we're focusing on is raising these funds for people who are struggling. And if it turns out that there's extra at the end of the week, then it will go to the Line 3 pipeline fight. But most weeks we don't have extra, so we're just throwing that out there.
Throwing it out there for reference in case y'all are, just for transparency.
Oh wait, he said how do I send money? I think we just
we got that.
Thomas, I think we just covered that. You can do it on Super Chat, Rockfin, or Venmo at Lee Camp.
Thank you, Cam 35mm.
Shall we grab another story from Rad Indie Media?
Sure. What would you like to?
For those of you who don't know, we created a new project called radindiemedia.com, RADINDIE media.com. I'll type it in the comment box. And it's got all the great. Is it going so slow?
Why are you typing all caps?
It was an accident, but I like it. I like it now.
radindiemedia.com.
So, I know one of the stories over there right now is that Bayer, which bought Monsanto.
BAYER, not like.
Whoa, Chaos Agent. You're a fucking hero.
Thank you.
Donating for the video.
Awesome.
Like the video.
That video was pretty fucking fantastic, wasn't it?
And thank you, DSL Coda. Thank you so much. And we had another one, Bev Fitzpatrick. Wow, $20. Thank you, Bev.
Thank you so much, y'all.
I think Bev is only beat by Chaos Agent. Impressive. And thank you, Lee. So Bayer that bought Monsanto, BAYER, they have just announced that they are finally, at long last, after endless pressure, endless activists standing up, fighting back, making people aware, they have finally announced they're going to stop selling glyphosate pesticides, which includes Roundup, glyphosate pesticide or herbicides, which includes Roundup herbicide.
Whoa, June, thank you.
Thank you, June.
Yeah, how fucking amazing is that news? Natalie, woo! I don't
All
know,
right,
something we
Natalie,
did fucking triggered that. Was it the video?
I think
Or
it was
was
it was the
like that
video.
just
I think it was the video.
yeah, no. Yeah, it's like, after sex and you just feel really good about things, and so you're like, yeah, I'll just fucking
Yeah. For everybody who
There you go.
donates, we'll tear down a balcony.
Well, I mean, it depends. You don't want to end up like tearing down the balcony of some like cool little co-op or something,
All right, we'll tear down that guy's balcony.
Okay.
We'll tear down Jeff Bezos or Nancy Pelosi's balconies.
Speaking of which, I think it's apt to point out that Nancy Pelosi is herself a landlord.
Yeah.
And rushed to adjourn Congress so that people couldn't object to Congress leaving for recess when this moratorium was ending. So
thank you, Tony.
That I think that there's a connection there, Thank you, Tony.
Yes, Tony, it was awkward when I asked about Joe Biden. So most of the interview with Dennis Kucinich, which if you want to watch it, is at leecamp.com. It's also at radindymedia.com. Dennis Kucinich is running for so most people know he was a former congressman. He also ran for president as a Democrat twice, and he was kind of the only one on the stage, other than maybe Mike Gravel, that was anti-war and anti-corporate and said a lot of important things. And so most of the interview was about a book he just put out that was talking about his early days as mayor. He used to be mayor of Cleveland. He's running again for mayor of Cleveland, fighting the huge, corrupt, awful corporate power companies and shit in Cleveland. There were assassination attempts on his life and all this shit. And he was like 30 years old. And it's pretty impressive that he stood up to all that pressure. So that was most of the interview. And then I unfortunately, because I really didn't know the answer, I unfortunately asked him at the end what he thought of the Biden administration. He said, I've known Biden for 30 years. He's doing the best he can. And I was like, what? That is pathetic.
Cognitive dissonance. Thank you.
And I, after the interview, I made it clear that that was completely wrong, and it's kind of pathetic that he believes that. But the first part of the interview was first 90% of the interview was legit and important about what it's like to fight corporate power in the United States.
Yes, good stuff.
But sorry, to go back to glyphosate, there's been years of like independent journalism on this and on Roundup and activism against it.
Yeah, no, there's been, a couple of years ago, there was.
If this is true, I did not know this, but they're saying it will still be sold to commercial users, which is not good.
No, that is not good. Maybe we'll look into that some more. I felt like it might have been too good to be true when you told me.
Well, I kind of thought it was the kind of thing that they saw the lawsuits adding up.
Yeah, well, I think Bayer is kind of kicking themselves for having bought Monsanto in the first place, because that's definitely come back to bite them. But there's been a lot of lawsuits. Whoa, thank you. Observation.
Whoa, thank you. Observation.
Do we think Nader is cool? I think he has some solid points. So yeah.
So yeah, I'm reading about it now. It does look like they're going to stop selling their glyphosate products in the U.S. residential lawn and garden market. So better than nothing, and I think that'll save a lot of lives actually. But that stuff needs to be used nowhere, and not just because it causes cancer in people. Because I think their belief is, well, if we sell it to factory farms, they know to wear hazmat suits to spray this shit, but it's killing the planet. It's killing the bees. It's killing the insects. It's killing everything. Mm-hmm. So we need to stop using it entirely, not just because of cancer in humans, but because of the world. So
yeah, and if bees die, we die. So that's Also the runoff, if the oceans die, we die. I mean, it's almost like this shit's connected in some kind of crazy ass global ecosystem.
No. We are separate from everything. We're over here, and the Earth is over here, and we just operate separate from it. And so we can just kill this thing, blah, and then we can just be fine over here.
You know what? We're doing our best. We are. We're giving it a real go. So yeah, it's that is shitty, but it's definitely good that it's going to stop being sold on a consumer level, because there's a lot of there's still a lot of like consumer level use of Roundup. Like if you live in a city, I mean here in DC, I see those little canisters and shit at the for like the lawn maintenance people that work around the apartments and shit like that. So yeah, better than nothing. But again, the only reason that happened is because of endless action from activists and independent journalists reporting on glyphosate, because the mainstream media hadn't done shit on glyphosate Roundup. No.
Thank you, progressive lefty. All right, we have less than 10 minutes left. So if you'd like to donate, please do it now. All of that money will go to people who are struggling in these incredibly difficult times. We've been able to help hundreds of people. It's really been cool. And honestly, when I say we, I mean you guys, because this is a solidarity fund where you help your fellow viewers, your fellow humans. And we play the middle people who don't take a cut. So. Got any other stories you like in the news? Anybody else want to chat about something? Feel free to say it. We got a few minutes left.
What
else?
My special my special piece was that video.
We can say goodbye to the always incredible Glenn Ford, unfortunately, who passed away with Black Agenda Report. Black Agenda Report, great outlet. If they're not on your tab of cool outlets, you should do that. Also,
on Rad Indie Media.
If you read Rad Indie Media, you would know about Black Agenda Report. They're on there a lot. They do wonderful stuff, and Glenn Ford was the co-founder and one of the main writers, and he has passed away. So we just want to, say goodbye to an impressive man.
Yes, rest in power. An incredible organizer, journalist, host, reporter, all of those things. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I think it's time for a general strike. Absolutely. Although it takes a lot of work to put together a general strike.
I've seen some mutterings about October 15th, but I haven't dug into that. So
for a strike?
For a general strike, yes. But I think it's important to highlight that the only way that these things work is if you're actually organizing in like workplaces. Because like if one person leaves from every business, that's not enough, right? Like entire businesses need to empty out. So workplace organizing is really important. So if you are familiar with this, if you want to help organize and you work in a place.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, the Sand
Queen.
It's really important that you try to get as many people on board. Someone mentioned earlier that, the mine workers in Alabama, they went up to New York. They've been on strike for months now. And they went up to New York because to protest outside of Black Rock, because Black Rock is a majority stakeholder in the company that they work for. And I mean, this is like the powerful work of not just going on strike, but then, taking that strike to literally the architects of your oppression. So that's incredibly awesome. And we've posted something about that on Rad Indie Media as well, that you can check out about that strike that's been going on for months, but you would never have heard about that on fucking corporate media, right? Even though particularly places like Fox News claim to be with people like coal miners, right? Yeah, we're totally on their side. So those kind of actions are all about that workplace organizing so that you shut down the means of production. If one person walks out of a Chipotle, that's not really going to do it.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Are you sure? What if it were the right guy? Like, wow, that guy, everyone loves that guy. Oh no, he left. We love that guy.
So yeah, so it's really important to organize in your workplace and get more folks on board. So
thank you, Lucy.
If October 15th is the date, I believe it is. That's what I've been seeing. Then there's a lot of that local organizing that has to happen if we want this to turn into something that's that has solidarity connections, throughout regions, or dare I say even the country.
If anybody is curious, Milius Genghis Khan is completely wrong, and he's libeling Nick, which is not true. Nick Brana, I believe. So if anyone read his bullshit comments about Nick Brana, you can ignore them, because I know for a fact that are not true.
Also, yes, BlackRock does own pretty much everything. They are the largest financial institution in, I don't know if it's the world, but one of the largest ones at least. And they own majority stock or stakes in almost every dirty energy project you've ever fucking heard of. So, yeah. BlackRock should be a target for many things. It's also been a target actually for Line 3 protests. So yeah, it's they've got their fucking grubby little hands in everything.
Thank you, Nick. And we have bad news. This is a short episode. We are finishing up in 3 minutes. So you'll have to go back and just enjoy it all. Enjoy it all that already happened. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We just got a couple of minutes left. And, thank you for the fight. Like I was trying to say, if we could build up some sort of Occupy Congress, some sort of protest in front of Congress that had thousands of people, it could have some power. But it does not seem that most of the squad is genuine about their efforts right now. There's not, AOC's retweeted some things, but she doesn't seem to really be putting a lot of pressure on everybody come out to Congress right this second. And she knows the power of her Twitter account. She can draw thousands of people if she needs to. And instead, there are still only 50 to 100 people on those steps. So.
Yep. So again, if you're watching this after the fact, you can donate on Venmo at Lee Camp. Also, please check out radindiemedia.com. It's a great aggregate of radical independent media. So if you want to hear stories, some of which we've touched upon here, but if you want to hear stories from the front lines, deep investigative journalism, reporting, things like that, you can read, watch, and listen. Check out radindiemedia.com.
And check out artkillingapathy.com. You can find all Eleanor's stuff, and my stuff is also at leecamp.com. There's a new episode of Redacted tonight where I talk about how this week Joe Biden ended the war in Iraq for only the 5th time. We keep ending the war in Iraq. Isn't it amazing, folks?
It's a great segment. Go watch it.
So
seriously.
If you want to watch that, you can get it at leecamp.com or Rad Indie Media. Rad Indie Media grows by word of mouth. So honestly, if you like it, if it's your new digital newspaper every morning, then please tell people about it. All right, guys, we will see you soon. Keep fighting.
Well, don't, because you got to do this first. Otherwise, okay, now say it.
Wow, now it's all awkward. I don't even know if I want to say it.
It was awkward anyway.
I don't even know if I want to.
You can't say it when you're leaned back like this, because then there's like a 10-second gap between when you actually...
Kind of like when you say goodbye and then you walk the same direction as the person.
Exactly, and then you have to start jogging, even if you're in heels, and it's super awkward. I mean, I doubt you're in heels, but you get the point.
You haven't even looked at my heels yet? Jesus. Thank you guys, and keep fighting.
Act out.